This is the house where the Pierce County Sheriff's Department says that 2 teenagers and 4 people in their 20s were shot early this morning.
This stretch of time through at least Wednesday allows more of a chance for people to get dehydrated or overheated.
This is serious. This is not, just some sort of argument or anything like that. We need to get the hell out of here.
Seattle police cars covered Broadway Avenue and Capitol Hill after reports of a man holding a gun outside the Gold's Gym above QFC. Chris Johnson, in the middle of a workout, heard the commotion.
At that point in time, I could see that there was a man there had a gun, and could see that there was a person that was on the ground there as well.
People inside the gym ran to safety and some stayed put, barricading themselves.
Quite frankly, the moment that I saw a gun, words really didn't mean a whole lot. It's like, oh, we've gone beyond hollering and screaming. There's a firearm involved.
Seattle police treated the situation as a hostage negotiation.
No one was shot in this case. Again, our hostage negotiation team did a fantastic job of taking the subject and getting him into compliance, and then our SWAT team was able to take the suspect into custody.
We knew something was wrong.
Michael Lambert witnessed police place the suspect into custody. He took this video.
It was very surreal. It was like something from a movie or whatnot, I mean, it was not something that you see every day. You see it, well, you do see it every day on TV, but not like in your neighborhood.
A frightening night for many people, watching from across the street and watching feet away from the man with the gun.
I still feel safe on Capitol Hill, but yeah, this is something definitely to think about.
The adrenaline was already here, and now from this, the adrenaline's way up there.
Free Palestine!
Calls for freedom and calls for the attacks by Israel on Gaza to stop echoed Saturday throughout the streets of downtown Seattle. As a rally at Westlake Center turned into a march through several downtown city blocks.
I think it's terrible that they're being told to get in cars and buses and then they bomb the buses. It's beyond hatred.
With the recent Hamas attack on Israel and Israel's current attacks on Gaza, there is concern for all civilians killed in the chaos.
There are victims in Israel and in Gaza, but this is horrible.
With threats of more attacks in just hours to evacuate, people in Seattle who are longtime supporters of Palestine say it's unfair to the civilians stuck in Gaza.
2 million people are stuck in Gaza and can't get out. And so the idea that they will have an opportunity to evacuate is ridiculous because it's a police state that controls their movement.
With an attack by Israel looming on Gaza, one rally organizer says concern is high, but this is nothing new.
We've been concerned for over 75 years during this occupation, so this is something that unfortunately we are used to, and that's why we're out in the streets today.
As this group of people call for freedom for the people in Palestine, they hope that attacks will stop and civilians will stop dying.
And I wish that the world would wake up and say, there are better solutions than this.
This is too much.
This is devastating. This is too much to home. This is too close to home.
Scorched destruction left as a reminder that will leave its mark on this tight-knit community for years to come.
Innocent lives were killed yesterday. People's homes were destroyed. I was grateful that mine was not caught on fire. Hi, Daniel. How are you?
Christine Mendel has lived in Jamestown Mobile Home Park in Lakewood her whole life. She says she has had plenty of great memories growing up here, but says Friday afternoon's fire could overshadow them.
Everybody's just struggling, trying to do what they do with the hose, trying to get what they could to get out of here and do what was best. But it was intense. It was smoky, it was ashy, it was hot. Everything just went up in flames. Everything.
The brush fire killed 2 men and destroyed 9 homes as well as damaged a handful of others. Mendel feels for the families impacted, including her brother, who lost his home in the fire.
He has to start all over. The neighbors have to start all over. Everybody from here on out that got burned up have to start all over. It's sad. It breaks my heart.
None of you guys were in any of these?
No.
The Red Cross was on scene Saturday to provide any assistance to the people impacted by the fire, as Mendel and many others in the community look to do what they can to help their neighbors get through this.
When it comes down to it, we are a community. We are here for each other. It's where we live, so we want it to be home, where you come home and enjoy home.
Salty Dog Studios has been in this spot in Ballard for nearly 50 years.
49 years.
49 years.
And none of these other buildings were here.
That's where you will find the studios of about 20 artisans, including Ernie and Gregory.
Founders of Salty Dog
Studios.
Salty Dog Studios, yeah.
The two Western Washington natives have seen a lot in their friendship of more than half a century, including a lot of rain, but nothing like what they saw Saturday morning.
Flooding.
Yeah, flooding. A flash flood.
Big time.
Big time.
Flooding surrounded their building, which is at the bottom of a hill near the Ballard Bridge. Even after 3 hours of pumping out water, this is what their basement now looks like.
If I go down another step here, it's over my boot.
They say the basement, which is home to 4 artist studios and ceramics equipment, had about 3.5 feet of water when they started pumping.
I see things floating, some artwork floating. I'm more concerned about a couple kilns down here that are partially underwater.
With about a week of cleanup ahead, this is Ernie's hope.
That it dries out and we can get back to work again. That's basically it.
These are mine.
Ernie and Gregory say this is an important place to them, a place here before Ballard grew, and a place that will stay here, filled with artists when the floodwaters recede.
So we're going to be here till the end, until some light rail comes up here or something, but we're going to be here as long as possible. And I hope it stays here for another 100 years.
Downtown Seattle is home to the Seahawks, Pike Place Market, and more than 90,000 residents. But take a dive into the water below it.
And why in such an urban environment we can get something this special.
And it's also home to thousands of species, including the largest brown algae, bull kelp.
It provides a bit of protection from predators, and so they tuck into kelp, so it's a really, really important nursery.
And it's important to fighting climate change too, says Port of Seattle Commissioner Fred Felleman, sequestering carbon 20 times more than a forest on land.
So it's really quite an extraordinary organism that is critical.
But according to Seattle aquarium researcher Zachary Randell,
we've seen widespread loss across parts of Puget Sound.
By 62% since the 1870s, Zachary points to rising water temperatures, pollution, and lack of habitat availability as potential reasons. So why, at a time when kelp is facing declining populations, is it thriving in a developed waterfront like Elliott Bay?
A lot of this is muddy, silty substrate that kelp typically doesn't grow in.
One theory is that bull kelp likes hard substrates, so anything artificial or man-made could be what's helping the kelp grow.
The potential for artificial reefs putting out some sort of structure.
But to find out, Zachary is using a blue ROV-2, an underwater drone that can sweep the seafloor 330 feet below the surface, taking photographs and video that he and his team will use to study and collect data.
How many of these species there are and where they are, so we can understand the health of the ecosystem.
With bull kelp being used to make arts and crafts, food products, and even musical instruments. What happens offshore
From kelp to killer whales, that's what makes Puget Sound great.
impacts us all.
The defending state champs get a big entrance and a big crowd at the big game. Even big stars were on hand. I thought that was Lake Stevens alum Chris Pratt. It's actually Jason Puckett from KJR Sports Radio. Woodville's defense was playing tough early. Ryan Bowles with the pick. And how about the great return for the Falcons? No score after the first quarter. After being shut out in the first quarter, Lake Stevens gets their offense rolling in the second quarter. Jay-Sean Lamar takes the direct snap, makes a few good moves, and he takes it 57 yards. He's brought down on the 5-yard line. That play sets up this play. Colton Matson, he hooks up with David Brown, just like that, 7-0 Vikings. Then with 2:26 to go in the half, Jay-Sean Lamar goes to work again. He scores. Lake Stevens leads it 14-0 at the half. On the opening drive in the third quarter, Matson finds Brown again, this time on the screen pass, and Brown does the rest. The state hurdler to the end zone, 21-0 Vikings. The Vikings show why they are the number 2 seed in the state tournament. They can pass and they can run. How about Lamar with his second touchdown of the night, 28-0 Vikings. Then the defense comes through again. David Brown having a night. 2 touchdowns and an interception. Make that 2 interceptions and 3 touchdowns. He returns it for a pick 6. The defending champs are moving on. Lake Stevens wins big, 41-0.
We're now moving on to next week. We celebrate a little bit, celebrate 5-10 minutes. Then it's game time tomorrow. We're watching film. Everybody's locked in, and we're here to stay. We're here to stay. Lake Stevens is here to play some football, and I hope everyone else is too.